Their journey began in Yasharel, but they were scattered across the face of the earth, each one with its own beats, and each one with its own rhythm. As the dry bones are being revived, the beat begins again at the heart of the tribe.
Hello. Welcome to Heart of the Tribe. My name is Chelle Wagner, and I'm so glad you came to join me today. I have two very special guests with me today, Jennifer and Nate Wolfe from Toledo, Ohio. I met them both at the Olive Tav Body Training School of Dr. Alfonso Manzo in Medina, Ohio. And I'm so excited to have them with me today to share about their experience at the school, what path led them to be at the school and be students, and why this has piqued their interest, and what they plan, what their future plans are. So with that, let me go ahead and bring them on. Welcome, Nate and Jennifer. Good to have
Hello.
you here.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
You are so welcome. I'm so glad you guys could join me today for this interview. It was so nice to get to meet you both at school.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a packed classroom, but it was good.
It was a packed classroom, and you guys were kind of off over to the side on your own wing over there.
Yeah, we had just had three people kind of shoved on the corner there, but it was good.
Yeah, it was. It was an action-packed school. I mean, we were busy from the second that we got there, and we would be sitting for a couple of hours, and it felt just like minutes because it was so interesting what we were learning.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was so much information, but the week went by super fast, and we're still
It
digesting a
did.
lot. So
Yeah, we stayed with
Yeah, I think we all are.
we stayed with some
Oh
friends
no,
while we
please
were
go ahead.
in Medina, and every night we kind of just came home and we were kind of zonked out from being in school all day. And they said, "Wow, you must really be working hard." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a lot of learning for 8 to
Yeah.
5 or 9 to 5 every day."
Yeah, it was we had to have some intense focus, and like you, I am
Mhm.
still processing a lot of what I learned and going through my notes because I just filled up a notebook, you know.
Mhm.
And as I'm doing these interviews with the students and going back, it's I'm learning even more stuff that maybe other people picked up that I didn't clue in on that part. So I'm really glad that we're doing this.
yeah, it's nice to have that contact sheet as well. That way we can message each other if we have questions. And then, of course, there's the email group, there's the Telegram group. So it
Mhm.
Right.
should be easy to get thoughts processed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's tell our audience a little bit about you guys. So I know that you guys have an anniversary coming up soon.
Yeah.
31 years of marriage. That is a huge accomplishment in today's society.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't feel that old, but I mean, I guess in some ways maybe we look back and we're like, yeah, I guess it's been over 30 years.
Yeah.
But all of our children are grown, are young adults now, so
Right.
we're kind of in this new phase of uh, partial empty nesters. But yeah, we met in high school and got married shortly after, and went off to college together. And after college, started having kids, and we have four children,
Mhm.
three boys and a girl, and the two youngest still live in our home for the time being. So it keeps us busy with young adult activities in the house as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's exciting, a new phase of life. I know you both had long careers, and Nate, you were a pastor for many years, correct?
Yeah, over 20 years. I started out in youth and family ministry, and then I went into more preaching, pulpit preaching and congregational work. And so that was a couple of decades worth. And I really, looking back, I think it's going to help prepare me for, continuing in the people helping arena.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. That being anytime a ministry is so hands-on. And I know that you had a position, it says that you did some things that were kind of non-traditional ministry. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
yeah, that really the non-traditional stuff really came in 2018 when I left the mainstream congregational work, and there was a lot of reasons, why I did that, but um, I guess really the Father in 2017 opened our eyes to some different things, and we went to a conference called Take on the World,
Okay.
and we ended up getting. I guess exposed to a lot of people in the Torah observant community, and that kind of raised some eyebrows and questions and all kinds of stuff, and that put us on a path of rethinking some things spiritually, doing ministry, and so the last several years since that I've been doing kind of online ministry and just helping people out, doing prayer requests, doing some benevolent work,
Online counseling,
online counseling,
Mhm.
coaching. At the same time that the last few years I worked for the county, Jennifer also worked for the county. So we kind of had a switch in 2018. And then recently we had another switch this spring to really feeling like we should leave the county work and focus on putting together, a wellness ministry together. And so that's kind of where we've been focused the last few months, I guess, since really the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's exciting. We'll talk about that a little bit more too, and let everybody know all about where you're at with that. And Jennifer, you spent your career as a mental health therapist, correct?
Well, in social work, I
Yeah.
started out with my bachelor's in social work, and I worked in a few different settings like schools and residential treatment and community mental health. And then got my master's degree. And then when we moved to Ohio about 12 years ago, I started working as a middle manager at the county. Always had, the desire to work in private practice, to be more one-on-one with individuals or couples and families, and did that on the side a little bit. But in January of this year, I left my county job and went full-time into private practice. So I've been working as a mental health therapist and really enjoying that. And I felt like Nate's and my experience and education kind of complements each other. And so that's kind of where we came up with this idea of combining our expertise or experience, and then adding in, the Olive Tav work and some other things to kind of make it more full.
And we work well together. It's not a perfect relationship, but it's pretty good. And so that was one of the big considerations was, hey, can we work together?
Right. No, I totally understand that. Yeah, my husband and I had owned an auction house together, and so we worked together day in, day out for years. And I don't so much miss the auction house work. Sometimes it was exciting and it was fun, but it was so full time that it left no time, for other things. And so it was kind of consuming, but I did love getting to work with my husband every day. But it is a totally different dynamic when you are married and you work together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we realized that the next few months, especially, are just going to be continued transition. So it's a little bit scary, but also exciting when you start putting these plans together. And really last year, Jennifer kind of planted the seed. She was like, hey, what do you think about, us doing like a wellness thing together? And at first I was kind of like, it just seemed like such a foreign concept, because it's out of the mainstream.
Right.
And and then it started growing on me, and then some other circumstances kind of pressed in on us with the county, and we were like, no, we gotta get out of this system.
Yeah.
And so things have been funneled the last several months, and then the olive top body information was a key piece of that puzzle. So we kind of feel like the next couple months will be transition and new things. We'll have to make adjustments, but so far it's going well, and we're excited.
So how did the olive top body and Dr. Monzo's work come on your radar?
It probably came on mine first only because I went to a Isaiah 46:10 conference down in Arkansas in 2021, I believe it was. 2020, 2021. Actually, it was 2020 because it was right before COVID hit. It was in February, and Dr. Monzo was speaking there, and one of the things that he was sharing was about this olive top body, and it was like very new and different. It wasn't like anything I had ever heard of before, and I think I processed a little bit of it, enough to be very interested and to realize that someday I need to look more into this. But at the time, I just thought, oh, it's too much information for me to digest right now. So that I had that exposure. Yeah. And then, of course, we've been hearing a lot.
I think we knew of Dr. Monzo from the Take on the World conferences and some of our mutual friends.
Yeah.
And we're kind of aware of his clinic, but hadn't experienced it until later in 2020. We actually, some of our family members ended up going. And so now at this point, several of us have benefited from the services at the clinic. And of course, that once you have been there and experienced the help and healing, it's even more attractive, and you just want to share it with others. And you see how important it is to have that whole mind, body, spirit connection in healing and wellness.
Yeah. And last year I went, and because I was diagnosed with AFib, and I ended up getting a scan. It was actually the QI5 scan, not the Quest 4, but very similar, and then I did have some ATB touch therapy session. At the time, I didn't really know, again, much about that, but it seemed to be very helpful. And I improved in the first few days after visiting the clinic, and had a coherent restore as well. And so we did get exposed, myself, Jennifer, and two of our children, to some of the scans and therapies. So that's always been kind of in the back of our mind the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's amazing. I had never had the coherent restore until we were at class, and I scheduled that. And I'm so glad I had that. I'm so glad I got to experience actually going in and receiving some of the services that the clinic had to offer hands-on. That was really, that was a great experience for me.
Yeah, it's a real unusual but awesome place,
Yeah.
Man, we kind of miss being there. I mean, like, man, what can we do to get ourselves back there?
Yeah. I've been thinking the same thing. I'm already ready to go back.
Yeah,
it's so unique. And I mean, in the time that we've known, Kim and Dr. Monzo, their clinic has grown quite a bit. The number of services and the other practitioners doing, sound therapy and cryotherapy, all of these other pieces. It's just really awesome to see, how it's growing, and, tucked away in this little town that you wouldn't necessarily know of, but all these people like yourself from other states came in. We're 2 hours away, and that feels like, oh, that's, it's a little bit of a distance, but we had folks from Florida and Oklahoma and all
North
over.
Carolina.
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Really,
all over.
really interesting. Tennessee.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, incredible. So was there, thinking about your experience at school, either one of you, whoever wants to go first, was there something that during the week that you just, it was kind of like one of those aha moments, one of those wow moments, the thing that like sticks out to you the most, going, wow, I just never even considered this. I know that there were lots of those moments. It's almost hard to define one sometimes, but but either one of you, was there something that really stuck out to you that's like, wow, that's just changes my paradigm, changes the way I'm thinking about something?
You have one?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, one of the things is, like, I keep thinking to myself, if somebody asked me to explain the olive top body system, obviously I'm not Dr. Monzo, so my information is very basic, general, limited. But he kept bringing up, correlations between the Hebrew letters and what their meanings were, and where which points on the body and what those points pertain to. To me, that was just, it's not coincidence that all those things match up almost perfectly. And so he just kept coming with those, zingers of, well, this is connected to this and this can help with this. And I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's such an intricate deal. It just boggles my mind. I think that it had to be Dr. Monzo to, for Yah to share this with, because he has a mind that is equipped to handle that. I don't think you can take 100 other naturopathic doctors and, put them in a spin the wheel deal. And probably most of them wouldn't have been able to, or even just to start to put the time in, the prayer and the processing and the planning and then implementing all of that. So for me, there was a lot of confirmations that told me that this really does, come from the Father. And I don't understand it, but it's just like amazing. And it's different than anything else. I mean, there's some similarities, certain aspects of it with previously discovered, ideas and, therapies, but his just really seems to, really fit the big picture.
Yeah. Wow. You just put that so well, Nate. It's almost like I had pieces of that thought process floating around somewhere, and you just snapped it all into place and said that so well, because I just couldn't agree more with everything that you just shared. That really rings so true to me. Yeah. Yeah, very good. Jennifer, was there anything that came to mind for you that hit really strong?
I think just kind of, again, confirmation. So many of the points that Dr. Monzo talked about, the points on the body, or the cycles that had not only physical organs that they affected, but also all of the mental and emotional. I'm, always focused in listening for that. And I work with, different individuals that come in, and maybe they're experiencing anxiety or grief or loss, or have traumas from their past, but they also have physical ailments going on, like any of us. And it was so interesting to me to hear Dr. Monzo share about those correlations and, trapped emotions, and how these Alta body points and applications can help to resolve not only physical, but mental and emotional, anguish. And so I feel that really gets me excited, working with people. I want to help them, and, talk therapy and different techniques and interventions that I was taught in my master's program, for example, are great. But I feel like there's more, and this is really a missing piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that so well said again. I know one of the things that, kind of hit me too while we were there was listening to the music that Tammy Sorensen has, created that matches the frequency of the olive top body system. To me, that brought that a whole nother level as I was, either being laid hands on and just listening, and that was taking me, it was so helpful to take me to a place of surrender, because when you're dealing with trauma and emotions, to get to that trust level, I'm sure you guys have experienced this in your work, getting to that trust level of honest communication and things beginning to flow so that healing can begin to take place, that is your first hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was y'all's impression about that?
I think, I personally experienced some, emotional release during being, when we were practicing on each other, when I was the one on the table. And I saw that in others when we were, when I was the one laying hands on. And it was really interesting to me. We were all there willingly, but we had maybe different levels of comfort, maybe,
Right.
and so trying this out and getting to, practice on each other was really eye-opening in so many ways. But I just was interested in how many of us maybe had an emotional kind of response to the applications.
Yeah.
There was a couple people that became very emotional almost every single time that they were participating in the therapy. For me, I just felt relaxed. I didn't feel like emotional, but it just seemed like the comfortability was helpful. And I'm sure when you're looking at potentially having energy points in your body that may have congestion or are blocked from working properly, if you're tense and feeling jagged, it's not going to aid in healing. But if you have that kind of music, just seems to really help you get into a mindset of calm and peace and healing. And so we're in the process of ordering some music. We've got our table that we ordered. We picked up some foam for the cushiony aspect of the table. We're gonna get the music, so we're gonna be ready to do that here pretty soon.
Yes, that's fantastic. I know I'm really looking forward to it. Someone has decided to gift me with the table, and I'm
Nice.
just so grateful. They're gifting my ministry with the table, and I'm feel so blessed and
That's awesome.
with that. Yeah, and I'm soon should be able to order my foam, and so I'm getting things in place as well. So I'm really looking forward to all that.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you guys are busy working on Second Wind Wellness, and I know that your website's in progress. It's going to be www.secondwindwellness.org, and that link's going to be in the description. But give it just a little while. Nate and Jenna are working hard, everything in place. So,
right.
But the link will be there, and so you can check back on that. But tell us about your plans and what's going on.
So so I started mental health, counseling back in January, and was sharing an office in Toledo after I left my county job with another therapist. And both of our caseloads were growing, which was, a blessing. And as things were kind of unfolding with Nate and our conversations and the father opening different doors, and then the practitioners, this whole opportunity to come in and do Monzo's training, we took the plunge and rented a space closer to our house that we could, and in the process worked with another believing friend of ours who's a massage therapist who is also looking for a space. And so she's joined us, and I moved in there and am seeing my counseling clients there already. And then we've got space for a room devoted to, ATB applications and the Quest machine and all of that. So we've, been working and furnishing it and all of that.
So we've basically got 2/3 of our services, at least the beginning services that we want to offer, are in place. The counseling piece is there full time. The massage therapist is starting out part-time and working more into taking on other clients. And then we're getting the space ready for the Olive Tav body stuff, the Coherent Restore, the Quest machine. And we just hung up our olive top body point chart that we got from
from
Esther
Esther.
in Alaska. We bought the big 3 by 4 foot wall hanging, and it looks really good. I'm excited.
That's great. That's
It's so
great. Yeah,
easy
that's
to
another
see.
piece I want. Yep.
Mhm.
It's I think it was about $120, but I think it's going to be worth every penny. And it got there the next day from Alaska,
Yeah,
so that
that's
was
impressive.
pretty amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, so we're putting the pieces together for that third dynamic, and that may take a few months to get everything. But we've been praying about it. We're learning that it's all in His timing, because some things we thought would be done and prepared sooner have not, and some things fell into place quicker than we expected. So we're realizing like it's all really in His timing. And so if it takes a few more months to get some of those pieces together, we don't want to rush it too fast,
Right.
especially since this next item is expensive, the Quest machine.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been praying that He'll help us, maybe have a used machine option near us.
Right. Yeah. Well, but what an amazing service. I've, I, I have been helped so much by being able to send in the samples that were necessary to run the test
Mhm.
on that Quest 4 from Dr. Monzo's office. And I can't believe how much good help has been given to me remotely.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Just learning about how the distance options, and that maybe we can be a part of that, supporting
Yes.
Dr. Mazzo's clinic as well. But
Yeah, and
That's really exciting.
there's quite a few Torah observant folks in southern Michigan as well
Right.
that may be interested in some of these therapies, and so we're kind of hoping to be a hub for that, rather than someone have to drive all the way to Medina from Michigan.
Right.
But yeah, so a lot of this is on faith, because we don't have the clients yet. So
Yeah. You know what it's reminding me of? How it talks about in Acts with the early church and how things began to spread. And one of the things that has excited me about this so much is looking at the conditions that have been coming on the world and Yah's people, and how difficult things could get. And the fact that He's so faithful to give us something that, for such a time as this, that, Yah's not one bit surprised about the conditions that we are in, and He is equipping His people to be His hands, His feet, His mouth, His knowledge, His insight for such a time as this. It's exciting.
it is, and we never would have thought, even 5 years ago, just before we woke up to some things that were going on in the world, even 5-6 years ago, none of this stuff would have seemed that would have even been on our radar. And I never would have thought that, my traditional path of ministry and Jennifer's social work, that all of that would have been, able to be used in this. But it seems like it was all building, foundation for, not that we didn't do, good things those
Right.
20 something years in our respective fields, but it's not, that's, I guess what I'm saying is that's why we decided to go with the name Second Wind, because it's kind of, it fits our situation. We were looking for our second wind. What are we going to do with the rest of our lives? Are we still usable? Are we washed up, or are we just retreading, as they say? And then also the idea of the ruach, the spirit. Wind. So there's the spiritual connotation. This actually was started as a ministry, and the wellness program is underneath that Second Wind Ministries. So we're really looking at this as a self-supporting ministry that offers these various therapies and services, and they're all really connected to a spiritual aspect as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm really excited about the work you guys are doing. And as you know, as things progress, a little further down the road, you'll have to come back as my guest and give us an update and let us know
Sure.
how things are progressing for you.
We would
Yeah,
love
that'd be
that.
great.
Yeah, I would love that too. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add to this before we close out for today?
Not really. I mean, I think that's kind of in a nutshell. I mean, we're just soliciting prayers right now for, the things that we're processing and completing and hopeful for the future. And, we'll probably have on our website a link for if anybody just wants to donate to our ministry. Because as you know, especially starting out, there's a lot of equipment and things that are needed to be able to help people. And, some people can't afford certain therapies all the time. And so down the road, once we're established, we'd like to, have some funds available from time to time when the need arises to maybe offer some discounts to people.
Yeah, benevolence fund. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's great.
I'd say that's pretty much the summary of what we've been doing the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
that's
wanted
great.
to say thank you so much, Chelle, for, kind of bonding our class together and being the connector so that we could all
Cracking the whip.
stay in touch and,
Right.
be encouraging to each other. It's so nice to know that, we spent this week together, but we can still be in contact with each other and learn and grow and share our experiences.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it seems to be, it's so funny, when I gave Dr. Monto that art piece, right?
Yeah.
So as I've been looking at lining up tribal characteristics with the physical body systems, my husband, it definitely, and you can just tell in our group, we're a lot of Naphtali's, which would line up with the muscular skeletal system that likes to structure and hold things together and bring things together, the connectors.
Yeah.
And that is our strength, kind of this tribe down in Burlington, North Carolina. We are Spirit and Truth Ministries here. So
Nice.
Very cool.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being with me. I look forward to an update in a few months and see where things have led and where you are on your journey a little further down the road.
That's
Cool.
great. Thank you, Chelle.
Thanks.
Right. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we wish our audience shalom.
Shalom.
Their journey began in Yasharel. But they were scattered across the face of the earth, each one with its own beat, and each one with its own rhythm. As the dry bones are being revived, the beat begins again at the heart of the tribe.